And here we are, back again on a Sunday night, talking about rugby league. Boys, how are we going? Freddie?
Before we talk about the league, want to hear about your week, mate?
Not much happened. We trained at Mitchie, I worked, and I slept. That was about it. Oh, actually, I made peace with the Ferny Grove Tavern, and I actually ventured there last night to watch the footy. Ran into a group of people I knew.
Yeah.
The publican looked like the Premier of Victoria. Signed in, saw a couple of people I know. It wasn't like going off, but it was not as horrible as I expected. We picked it out.
So you back kind of.
Oh, we just went there because we were watching the footy and we wanted to be somewhere where there was no people. Yeah. And I could think of anywhere that's going to have less people than there, but then a couple of groups of people I know happened to roll in.
Yeah.
So that was it. So yeah, the old FGT visited there last night, and one of the faves of the show, Cal Stewart, sent me a message. He's there at the moment.
Is he really?
I was there before.
Should tell him to come around, do the bubbler for us.
Oh, Cal Stewart.
Yeah, I spent the week down I was down in Wagga with just one of my mates doing uni shit, and got a couple of days on the slopes as well. But with Wagga, so you're waking up, it's -1 at Wagga, and then during the day it gets up to about the 6. So it's like, I like the cold because it's a novelty for us, so getting out into the cold, and we're working in a workshop as well, like it's a high school workshop, what I'm doing. But I love it, mate, like getting rugged up and beanies and it's some actual fashion. That's, even though our fashion we show up here is what, singlet and fucking boardies. Yeah. But yeah, down there. But from after the trip to Wagga, we drove down to Jindabyne so we could get hit threadbow and stuff. Yeah. But we didn't realise, because of all the COVID shit, that there's no fucking ski passes available. Yeah. So the first day we were down there, we hire snowshoes, like the tennis rackets. Yeah. We walk, and then we go up to we gondola it up to the top of one of the peaks of Mount Kosciuszko, and we walking up these fucking slopes. So you're walking for about 2 hours to get about 20 seconds of snowboard time. And then the next day, luckily, we went at 8 o'clock in the morning because the Vic borders shut, so there was a lot of cancellations, and so with the cancellations they can on sell that ticket. So we got a lift ticket for Threadbow. Out of their 26 runs, 4 runs were open because of the snow's been it's cold enough, they just haven't had the rain, the weather. But man, so many wombats down there. So I definitely don't condone like drink driving. I'm definitely against it. But the second night we had a bit too many, more than we thought we had, because the guy that was giving us jugs, he said he also put 5 shots of vodka in the last jug before he shut the bar. Right. And so I'm driving home, and I'm sitting there. It's a 20-minute drive from Threadbow to Jindabyne. And I had to keep one eye shut so I wasn't seeing double. And I had my right hand on the wheel, and Shrine, my mate, I had his right hand on the left side of my wheel, and we're doing it together because we were so stressed about hitting one of the huge fucking wombats. And we saw about 10 of them. And these wombats, man, they're walking across the roads like fucking horses.
At what point did you realise that you probably shouldn't have been driving?
Yeah, this was a bad idea.
I just thought the Uber price was going to be too extreme, eh? Like the losing my license for a couple of years was cheaper than the Uber price getting back from And
you did a bit of training with Wes on Saturday morning.
Yeah. Well, anyway, Dano's week first.
Oh no, how was that? Just give us a quick brief.
Yeah.
How was that? I know obviously you can't reveal certain things because they're very cloak and dagger, the old West coaching staff. Like they have aliases and they meet in car parks in disguises and stuff, so the rest of the world doesn't find out. Yeah. And all have like code names under each other's phones. Yeah. But from what you can reveal, how was that, getting back into a high level of training? Because after being back playing park footy for a few years.
Before we get into footy, could you just intro our guest, mate?
All right. Okay. We introduce a man.
Brushed, well brushed, well.
Well, no, I just wanted to.
Okay,
If we're
is
going to
that-
start talking footy, I wanted
Yeah.
Burgz to
Alright,
be on
is
it.
it-
Perfect.
do you have to message someone to see what you can reveal to the outside world or not?
Yeah, no, I'll talk
Fucking-
about it for sure.
Do you have to?
No, but I wanted Burgz
Do you
to
need
be able
to
to jump
message
in.
the man with the code name T? T. What will T allow me to speak about? All right.
Just introduce our fucking guest. mate.
Okay. Tonight, it's a special time. There's a man who is well known throughout the globe in rugby league circles. I once read an article where they referred to him as the Mahatma Gandhi of rugby league. What Mahatma Gandhi was to the human race, Robert Burgin is to rugby league and the growth of the game throughout the planet Earth. Rob, how are you? And this man, he, an accomplished author. I think his last book was on the New York Times bestsellers list, probably got to position 4 or something. He's got a new book out, Maroon Mentality. Robbie, how are you? Give your book a plug, my friend.
It was one of the.
I think you just did it though. You know,
I think that was all time. You'll be on like UFC Island next
No.
month instead of Bruce Buffer.
Yeah.
Introducing people. That was epic.
He's like, don't want to narrow in what you want to talk about, but fucking give your book a plug, you know?
we'll start off with the book. You know,
I want to start.
Look
off
at
with
my
the-
fucking
the
sign there.
whiteboard.
It says NRL talk before book because I wanted him to talk about the NRL before the book.
I don't.
Do you think I
were
just...
you pissed when you
Wait,
wrote that?
Do you know? It's because I was doing it with this one. But
Well-
do you think I waste time with this whiteboard? That's
Well,
why I got it.
When you throw out plans, I just think of them as suggestions, and I've elected to
Burgz,
brush your suggestion.
Every week, mate, I have to tell him to put up a post saying, make sure you ask questions.
And I
And
wait for him
what-
to message me 2 or 3 times.
And when did you
before
do
I
it this
play.
week?
Yesterday.
You motherfucker. It's not early enough.
Oh well, I did tell everyone we're going live soon,
Oh,
so that's
okay.
enough
All right.
because we get to magnitudes of people and
Did you guys bring
magnitudes
me
of
on as
places.
a guest or a marriage counsellor? Or?
You're here to sort out these.
Yeah,
shit. I'm
Berg,
just
say how
in the
you
middle.
going, mate, anyway.
Burgz, how are you?
Yeah, good, mate. I want to know about this Mahatma Gandhi reference, though. I think that was you on Facebook, and that's the only person that's ever called me that.
No, but I just want to say to you that if you're looking to write a third book,
Yeah.
Christian Freed's become a motivational speaker, like a life coach.
He's created this.
He's
Yeah.
he,
It's not fabricated
You
at
know,
all.
like he likes to help people in times of need.
I did
He
like-
sent a message to the boys the other night in a group chat that was really moving. It reduced people to tears.
Well, I always do. I throw shit out there, so I want to see people's reactions because they don't know my sense. I've got a sick sense of humor, and Dana's kind of getting around my sense of humor at the moment. I think Righty knows it, but so they they were talking. They weren't even talking about training, but I throw out there where the fuck is
You
it?
just gymmed in and started a bit.
Yeah,
And you just,
I go fucking show up. Fit and ready to go play. Seriously, if you can't go 70 minutes, fuck off. I don't want you at my club. And then I go, if you guys can't do that, I'm out. And then after that, pretty funny. I think Voorhees changed the Facebook group name to Christian Freed's Open Ones team.
Yeah, well, Thursday night when you weren't there, I brought it up at the end of training and we all threw shit at you.
Yeah, well,
And,
there was probably a lot less drop ball there when I wasn't there on Thursday night.
yeah, good ball really flowed. Burgz, what's happening with you, my friend? Just let us know about the goings on in your part of the universe.
Yeah, well, mate, it's funny, like sitting down writing a book during COVID, I probably touched like 2 beers in like 2 months, and then
Oh, really?
I've made up for that this weekend with about 200 in 2 nights. So,
Yeah. What was
yeah.
that in aid of, mate?
I was just catching up with mates I hadn't
Yeah.
seen for all the time I've been sitting down in front of a computer being a nerd.
Hence
so.
the waters tonight, or?
Oh, no, there's probably due that anyway.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm lucky. Friday night was bigger than last night. Last
Ah,
night
yeah.
was all right. So, yeah.
And so the name of the book,
Yep.
Maroon's Mentality.
Maroon Mentality.
Maroon
yeah, yep.
Mentality. And what's the background for, like, what gave you the inspiration to write it?
Yeah, I guess the premise is like when I read about history, I'm always interested in the backstory of someone. So
Yeah.
I wanted to find out, and I think all of us here, we're probably in the same boat in that your idea of the apex human being or alpha man is someone who plays State of Origin for Queensland. And I think no matter what sport you come from, you've got to admit they're gladiators in that sense. And it's always it really intrigued me to find out on an individual basis what made each of them be able to push to that level, because it's so competitive and it's such a toll mentally and physically. And then I kind of known from, being around footy before that some of them had some pretty drastic like background stories that I overcame. And I thought, what about if you could map out every single one of those 203 back to back? So like I've progressed and told the story of every single player to play Origin for Queensland, what motivated them as a kid.
Did you get to interview every one of them?
Oh, so in the process of doing, I interviewed more than 100 of the 203 players.
Fuck, and you just reached out to them.
Yeah. And then so probably then there's another 30 or more that I spoke to their parents or their best mates at school.
Yeah.
And then there were others that, like say a Wally Lewis or a Mel Meninga, there's nothing probably that they're going to tell me that they haven't told someone else. So what I did there, like I'd research like 30 different books about them or whatever, and just find like the minutest detail about when they were kids, stuff that happened that really impacted their development as a human. I just things that I wanted to be interested in, but I knew as I was writing, I was like, oh, this is going to be cool. Like, because what happens is the stories themselves are cool singularly, but when you put them all side by side, you start to see patterns emerging, and also just the different backgrounds.
Like patterns in being an athlete at that level as well.
Yeah, and things that happened to them along the way. So I would say, I've seen statistics that they reckon like 1 in every 20 people lose their parents before the age of 18, and I reckon it's probably double that number for State of Origin players. And I think also like deep grief, so stuff like not only losing a parent, but someone close to you, or having someone imprisoned, or being abandoned or adopted, that sort of thing. Like the rate of prevalence of that amongst the Origin players, I would also say is much higher than the normal population. But the flip side to that is you also got a lot of guys who were like, they were coached for more than half their junior career by their dad. So you start to see things like that. That one of a really common pattern that emerges, their dad was a good footy coach and their mum was a top athlete. So that mix of a dad who knows footy but a mum who's got the genetics, that's pretty common as well.
In their book, do you look sort of try and stick strictly to the football side of things, or do you look sort of more into the personal side from their upbringing and stuff like that? So
that's really interesting, because I thought they went hand in hand. So I've done a bit of both, and then some of them I also do a little bit of a history lesson. So like, Josh Maguire, I explore the German Samoan side of his background, and how the Germans came to be in Samoa and what occurred during the wars there. And a couple of them I've traced their family trees back. And something that's really interesting is like Brad Myers, Brian Niebling, and Daniel Wagon. Their ancestors from Germany all came from like this little like villages that were like 7 kilometers apart in Germany.
Really?
Yeah, like
Jesus.
it's
Daniel Wagon, bro.
Yeah.
That's the name I haven't heard for ages.
But
it's cool when like once you obviously put it together like that. That's something that I'm sure none of us knew, and probably no one else knew. So when you get down to like those final points, it just makes you think, fuck, how crazy it is that they've all become that gladiator that
Burgz,
we all look up to.
You heard of the book called The Talent Code?
Yeah, I've heard of it, but I haven't read it yet.
The Talent Code it shows how younger siblings always are the better athletes because they want to be better than their older siblings, and that's what that's about. Yeah. Did you find that come up at all? That's
definitely. I'd say the third kid is usually like, that's probably really common, and third or fourth kid in a group of boys. They'll often push themselves, and you see that obviously with like the Langers, the Walters. Andrew G. His older brothers are both first grade players. And I actually reference a lot of similar like research articles to what you're talking about there. Yeah. And the other one that goes hand in hand with that is the birthplace effect, which I'm not sure if you're sort of familiar with, but they did a study a few years ago about the NRL, and said by pure population, like 75% of the players should come from Brisbane and Sydney, but it's only like 60, and it's because towns of between like 5,000 and 100,000 are massively overrepresented, because kids often, if you're coming through and you're a gun at 15, you're going to start playing against men. Yeah. So the rate of acceleration in those smaller cities, and because they've got such ready access to fields all the time, they're encouraged to play sport, and they're going to play against better people at a younger age. Yeah. That just makes them develop so much quicker. And they've actually done the same study with ice hockey and also with the NFL, and they all correlate. So they all say that cities between these sizes produce way more than the bigger cities.
Really?
So And as you guys all know, like, I'm involved with Brazil for the World Cup, and this is something we're using too. Like, we're purposely targeting places that, you know, like Rio or Sao Paulo in lockdown at the moment because of COVID. So we're going, where's the other big cities where they've got a reasonable field and they've got this X population that we can really nail this and uncover some freaks out there?
Yeah. And very, like, you look through the NRL and you see, like, you know, like, you could go through a number of players where you're like, oh, it's Charleville, it's fucking England, like stuff like that. You pick out these.
Lockyer fits exactly what Burgz was saying. He was playing first grade at 15.
Yeah.
And he was like Queensland under 12.
Wasn't Lockyer's story was Bennett was sitting on the hill at Roma and was like, that's who I want.
When he was a bandy-legged 14-year-old, they put him on a scholarship. He saw him play.
Yeah.
It's funny when you go back and you look at those stories. There's often like 4 or 5 different versions of the story, and one will be like, oh yeah, Bennett saw him this time, and then the other one it's like Cyril Connell saw him then, and then he recommended him to Bennett later. Really interesting one that you might not know is, you know, like Darren Lockyer is related to Casey Maguire, and then like in amongst all that group, so Brent Tate is related
through marriage or
no. So their mums are. Is it the McCormacks? I've just got to think. I haven't a mental blank of the name, but it's McSomething. I think it's McCormack. And their wider family is actually like Peter. Is it Peter Hewitt that plays for the Waratahs?
Yeah, Peter Hewitt.
So he's in there. No, it's the McCoskas. Sorry, because Rick McCosker, the cricketer, he's one of the members. There's been like all these freak athletes, and they're all related. And then like Brent Tate is related to Daly Cherry Evans, and there's about 7 or 8 of them that are all like weaved in together.
Yeah.
So with Tate and Cherry, is that through the Redcliffe background, like that? Like how
through the Cherries out west.
Cherries, and there's a lot of Cherries family living who have been in Redcliffe for many years.
Yeah. So with the progress of your book, Burgz, who was like the most, like something that threw you off, or the most intriguing interview, if you got one of like you could narrow one down for us?
Yeah, a couple that stand out. I think the strongest one for me is John Doyle's. Like, him and his dad talked to me about like a sort of what happened with the, I guess, Indigenous and the racial background that they encountered, and that was kind of prominent in the other stories as well. Like, obviously there's been a very high population of Origin players that are Indigenous, but his was more sort of first hand. And his dad talks about he played a rep game when he was a kid, and he got kicked off his own bus, like his own team, and he was fighting with his own teammates in the game. So they said, that's it, you can't come back. And they went Bundy. Yeah. They took his bags off the bus and threw him out on the side of the road. And so his dad had to find his way back as a kid there, and he ended up hopping in with a guy who was like a undertaker. And he said, yeah, I'll give you a lift back to Rockhampton, but you got to help me unload these coffins all the way along.
Oh, yeah?
Holy
Jesus.
Shit, what a story.
Imagine being a 14-year-old kid and that, you'd be freaking out, sure.
That sort of keeps going. Like, between the two of them, they told me a lot of stuff, and it's pretty just insightful. And I guess at this time with the whole Black Lives Matter as well, what they say, it gives like a Queensland context to it, and you see it's very close to home.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it'd be way more interesting than a fucking New South Wales book.
Yeah. What was your motivation behind doing it? Like, did you just get up one day and decide, I want to sort of portray like the background of like the Great Queensland sides and stuff like that, or did you just sort of?
There's probably a couple of different reasons. Like, one of the big ones is that we're coming up. This is 40 years of Origin this year, so a lot of those original guys they're like 70 now. So we're really lucky in that in the last 40 years, we've only lost 4 players have passed away. And when I was at QRL, I was just thinking about it and thinking, the next 10 years, we could lose a lot of knowledge. And I know, like, from losing my grandparents in the last few years, what happens once that knowledge is gone, you just can't get it back. And also, like, when Terry Butler died, you go on Wikipedia and he's got, like, 2 or 3 sentences about what he did. And now guys our age or younger, they got no idea who these players are. And I think this guy played State of Origin and he had a background story. And if you look back, there's so many of those guys that we really don't know enough about. Like, John Rebo said a cool thing, which was like, there's 30% of players or 40% of players, and they get like 65, 75% of the attention. So it's all Wally and Alfie and Mal and that sort of thing. So I wanted to make sure everyone's story was told, but also from that social development side of it, I was really interested in what does make an Origin player, like how do they get to be there?
With those blokes that have passed, who was it? Arthur's passed, as in Beatson.
Yep.
Peter Jackson.
Yep.
Terry Butler. Who was the fourth? I can't recall.
Henrik.
Oh yeah.
Yep.
Oh, Rossi Hendricks, of
Yep.
course. Yeah.
See,
Great
we're
man, Rossi.
in a masterclass right now, you know.
You're right. I'll just sit
I
here.
rang Dane before we started this podcast, and you go, you understand we're going to be in a rugby league masterclass with Burgz and Righty on again. We'll just sit here and be like, rugby league.
Yeah.
Just like,
It's pretty easy when I've been just sitting in front of a computer doing one thing for
and
3
and
months.
Burgz, so first book,
Yep.
Pool Hall Jailhouse.
Pool Hall Jail Library,
Yep.
Yep.
This one more enjoyable to write than the first one.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Like, less confronting and like it's way better to write about someone else
Yeah.
than yourself. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Sweet. And is it like paperback? Like you can purchase it now, or
So I've got the final proof sitting in my inbox here.
Oh,
I've been
sweet.
waiting from the publisher, so
yeah.
I'll go through that tomorrow. Any changes, and then it goes straight to the printer. So
Who's publishing it, Penguin? Or?
no, it's called Angel Key Publishing. So,
okay.
Yeah, but no, it's it takes longer than you expect. Like, it's always little
right.
things that hold it up along the way.
How's the proofreading on it? Like, because when I write an essay, right, and I'm talking a 3,000 word essay, I fuck up all the words, and they're always like, Christian, can you please proofread before you submit? I still pass, but they're like, because you lose marks for just making mistakes. Like, is it unbelievable how many times you've got to go over it, or do you pay someone to do that? Or?
Yeah, a bit of both. And
Yeah.
to be honest, like I am a little bit OCD when it comes to spelling and stuff. So
yeah,
like before I close down the computer, I'll check it like 4 times myself. Like,
Yeah.
even before, and then if I'm thinking about later in the day, I'll recall it again and just look over it.
yeah.
So
And will it be audiobook? Because Righty can't read, so
Please, this guy works at a school. Has admitted he can't spell. I've seen his writing on a board. It looks like a chook broke its leg and then wrote the fucking sentences on there. Okay, like that.
Where is
Then sends motivational speeches when he's
Wait,
fucking about 12 deep.
I did thought it was very smart how you said I was on a talking tour. I thought that was hilarious.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it was
because
really
my mate Shrine, who I was with, he said, he says you're on like I go that he'd be saying that, just bagging me out, because saying that I'm. People want to actually listen to me. I go around to like RSLs and talk about my fucking story. Yeah. Jesus, yeah.
Where's your book going to become available?
So
If the people want to buy it, where do they?
Yeah, I think there'll
where
be
do they
plenty
head?
to do.
yeah, so it should be published.
Guys, don't buy it. We'll just read each chapter out. I'm only kidding.
It'll print. It should take about a week to print. The best place to buy is if they buy through my website, which is www.loxtonberg.com, and then you just go to the shop section. So it's loxton.berg. Sorry,